champion, I need some trophies. I can drive the lane, I can shoot the three. I can run 100 yards, I can throw it deep. I ain't choose the gang trophy. I'm a champion, I need some trophies. I can drive the lane, I can shoot the three. I can run 100 yards, I can throw it.
Hello, everybody, and happy Monday night, and welcome, folks, to the Extra Point. Another great episode coming your way as we will be recapping Divisional Round Weekend, and we will preview what's at stake this Sunday for Championship Sunday, and we will also preview for you and predict for you who we like going to Super Bowl 57 in Glendale, Arizona in a few weeks' time. Along with Isaiah Lee Young, I'm Lauro Antonio. Ben, Isaiah, how's it going tonight?
Lauro, it is a great night, man. It is an amazing night, dude. Every show that we've done, I bring a beverage onto the program, whether it's water, coffee, soda, you name it. Well, tonight I have a special beverage that I'm bringing. I don't know if you guys can see it on camera right here. It is the special Fanta New Edition guess the Fanta flavor blue soda. You know what this Fanta soda that I'm drinking, what flavor it is? I'll tell you what it is right now. Laura, this is special Cowboy Tears edition of Fanta soda. I am sipping some Cowboy Tears while wearing my Brock Purdy jersey. My guy balled out last night, and the Niners are going to yet another NFC championship game. So it's all great, man. It is all great here in the Bay Area. I don't know about how it's going in Dallas, but all I got to say this before I drink this bottle of Cowboy Tears is, how about them Niners, baby? Let's go.
Well, you brought that topic. We'll start with that. The Cowboys-Niners divisional round game. You talk about, Isaiah, this was a low-scoring game. It was ugly, but at the same time, I thought the Cowboys were going to come back and win this football game. I kind of wanted another NFC East showdown in Philadelphia, but the Niners said no to the Cowboys, and not tonight. So, Isaiah, what is your thoughts on this crazy game we saw between the Cowboys and the Niners?
Well, first of all, I just want to say, Ben, welcome to the program, man. It's good to have you on here. Another thing I want to say is Ben mentioned something, I think it was yesterday after the game in one of our group chats, that really got my ears perked up. And he mentioned that, is this the year of Isaiah? And when I thought about that, I was like, he's got a point. This actually might be the year of Isaiah, because when you think about it, the Georgia Bulldogs won the national championship. The Jags come back from 3-7 and they win the AFC South, just like I predicted, and they win the playoff game against the Chargers. And then Brock Purdy, who I've liked since his days at Iowa State, Brock Purdy not only gets drafted by the Niners, but he starts for the Niners, and now with him starting for the Niners, he's 8-0 as the starter, and Brock Purdy is now going to the NFC Championship game, and Brock Purdy has a chance to put the Niners into the Super Bowl next week. I mean, it's just crazy how many events has just transpired for me the last year, or not year, but like a month so far in this year. But about this game in general, I think it came down to a couple of things. Number one, I said before this game on another show that this was Brock Purdy's biggest game of his career. And I truly meant it, because I know he's had played like 1,000 football games in his life before yesterday's game. But when you think about the magnitude of the game and you think about everything that was at stake in that football game yesterday, that was the biggest game of his career, because, yeah, he has been in, Big 12, great Big 12 matchups when he was at Iowa State. He's probably been in, a lot of pressurized games as a high schooler, middle schooler, even elementary school kid. But yesterday was the biggest game because I believe that had Brock Purdy lost that football game, I think that Trey Lance would have been back into the fold, and you would definitely have seen a competition between Trey Lance and Brock Purdy in training camp next year for the starting quarterback job. But now that Brock Purdy won that football game, I think that he's the unquestioned starter for the 49ers. I thought yesterday was the make or break game. If you win this game, there's no way that you can tell the fans or you can sell to the fans that you're taking Brock Purdy, who led you to the NFC Championship game, and you're going to bench him for an unproven Trey Lance. But if you had lost that game yesterday, then there could have been that competition, especially since Purdy didn't play that well yesterday. But I thought that he was really composed. He did make some rookie mistakes, especially that interception that Diggs should have had. But I think overall, especially late in the game, I thought he played really good football. He was patient, let the routes develop, let Kittle get open for that unbelievable catch. He threw the ball away when he had to. He got rid of the ball quickly when he had to. I mean, the one where Micah Parsons is running straight at him and he sees him last second and just somehow just sidearm the ball into the ground. I think that was one of the most impressive things I've ever saw in my life. But I thought Purdy played really well. I thought that the stats, they might not show it, but he played a really good, crisp, clean football game. And I think that yesterday cemented Brock Purdy moving forward as the starting quarterback of the 49ers and the future franchise quarterback of the Niners. But in terms of the reason why the Niners won, it wasn't on Brock Purdy. It was on the defense. The defense played lights out football. They might not have had the pressures in this game, but their secondary held up. Their secondary played extremely great coverage in this game. Their linebackers were outstanding. They stopped the run, which made Dallas be a one-dimensional football team. And the Dallas Cowboys, they need that running game. They need that running game because if you put Dak Prescott in a situation where he has to be one-dimensional and pass almost every down, we saw what he is. He's not a good quarterback. And I'll say this, he's not even a top 20 quarterback when it comes to you putting him into that situation where you have to rely on him to throw the football. The Niners got 2 picks because of it yesterday. The defense was outstanding. DeMeco Ryans, a tremendous game plan, going to a zone 2 safety game plan, which he rarely does, but he did it yesterday because he knows that Dak Prescott struggles against zone defense. So he went to zone defense and it worked wonders for the Niners. And then I felt like the other reason why that the Niners won this game was because of Tony Pollard's injury. Had Tony Pollard not gotten hurt, I think that the Dallas Cowboys would be the one right now going to the NFC Championship game. That injury by Tony Pollard was a crushing injury for the Dallas Cowboys yesterday, and it basically gave the Niners the win because without Tony Pollard, we saw what the Cowboys offense is without a running game. They are not good, and Dak Prescott is awful without a running game. And I think, if you're if you're Jerry Jones and the Cowboys, I know they won 12 games this year. They made the playoffs. They won 1 game, but I think you got to go out there and you got to call Sean Payton because I think that Sean Payton is a great quarterback guru, an offensive mastermind. And, it's no disrespect to Mike McCarthy and Kellen Moore. I like Kellen Moore. I think he's a really good, young, up-and-coming offensive mind. But this is Sean Payton we're talking about. This is the offensive version of Bill Belichick. This is a guy that I think if you put him with Dak Prescott, I think Dak Prescott will do wonders with Sean Payton. And Sean Payton won't have any of those crazy, aloof time management lapses that Mike McCarthy had yesterday, especially when it was 4th and 5, I believe, from the Dallas 45-yard line and you choose to punt. That made no sense whatsoever. There were a couple of just crucial time management lapses that Mike McCarthy had, especially that final play. Really, you're gonna have Zeke snap the football when you have Azeez Al-Shaair coming right at him? That's absolutely no match. So, I think the Niners, Tony Pollard's injury was something that really helped them. Purdy definitely cemented himself as a starter moving forward for the Niners. I was a little bit concerned with the pass rush because the Niners didn't get a lot of pass rush on Prescott, and if you don't get a lot of pressure on Jalen Hurts next week, that's going to really hurt you. But great play by the defense, just stepping up after a couple of down games. And for Dallas, go call Sean Payton right now because I think he will do wonders for this football team.
Christy had a question for you. Purdy becomes the starter. What happens to Trey Lance? This question's for you, Isaiah.
Sure, should probably just wait till the break kind of midway, halfway. But yeah, if you want to go, Isaiah.
Well, that's the $1 million question. Like I said, I think if yesterday had not gone well and the Niners had lost, I think that Trey Lance would have been back in the fold. But now I just think that it's unquestioned that Brock Purdy's the starter moving forward.
Yep.
But in terms of what happened to Lance, so here's the thing. If you trade Trey Lance this offseason, I believe there's like a cap hit of like $9 million. So it would actually hurt the Niners to do it. But I think you have to do it because if you get rid of Jimmy G and his big contract,
he's a free agent too.
Yeah, exactly. And you get rid of Trey Lance, I think that if you get rid of Trey Lance, you better get at least a first-round pick back. If a team's offering you like a second-round pick or a third-round pick, no way. Because you're not going to trade a guy and incur a $9 million cap hit just to get a second-round pick or a third-round pick. You got to trade him for at least a first-round pick. And then, I would be fine incurring that dead cap hit because, $9 million, let's face it, fellas, is not really a lot of money in the NFL. It's just pretty much chump change at this point. But if you can get a first-round pick back with the Niners having, I believe, 10 picks because of all the compensatory picks they got from all the people hiring our coaches and executives, I think that it will be worth it at the end of the day.
Anyways, Ben, I'll go to you here. What is your thoughts on this Cowboys and Niners matchup?
Well, first of all, I'd just like to say I'm glad to be back on. Steven, Isaiah, Laura, the crew gang outside of a couple other people. Congrats, Isaiah, to your Niners. I first like to say that. Thank you for beating Sorry Cole and your Cowboys. I don't really like the Cowboys, I'm very sorry, but I appreciate your service, Isaiah, for the Niners on that. A lot of good games this weekend. I would say the wild card game's probably a little bit better than these divisional games for sure. And I know we'll kind of get through mostly all of them, kind of together. But in terms of this Niners-Cowboys game, Isaiah had a lot of good points, but I think it came down to a couple of things. And I know Isaiah was saying a lot in the group chat of getting the chance to let Kyle Shanahan to start cooking in that offense. Because the thing about Brock Purdy, I understand that Isaiah was talking about Brock Purdy, this make or break it type game. The biggest key about Brock Purdy was he wasn't seeing, and I don't know, Isaiah, if you're going to agree with me on this, but I don't know if he saw any type of pressurized, better defense than he might have done yesterday with the Dallas Cowboys. They got Michael Parsons. They got DeMarcus Lawrence. They got big guys right at that defensive front. They were coming after Purdy left and right. And I think with Purdy specifically, the biggest thing was he never got rattled. He went with the next play. And I think that's one thing you have to kind of take into account for a third-string quarterback in an NFC title type of game at your home place. You could get rattled really easily, and the guy never did. So that says a lot for him. Like I mentioned, right when they got Purdy, I thought that I don't want to say overrated, but I just wanted to see more out of it. I didn't think it was going to come down to I needed to see it in the playoffs. And I'm now starting to see a little bit of a sample size of I get it. It's his first year, and, things kind of transform year after year. But so far, the eye test right now for Isaiah and Brock Purdy is I'm giving it a solid B plus because he's making a lot of the plays, and I understand that he has a lot of good weapons around where you can kind of put for any type of young quarterback. But Kyle Shanahan and that offense is a perfect fit right now for a guy in Brock Purdy, where he doesn't have to do a whole lot besides distributing the football. I would say that the biggest key play for the Niners was the George Kittle catch, because really kind of before that, it was kind of very stagnant defensively. Both teams are just kind of going in and out. And Isaiah, I'll kind of respectfully disagree with the Dak Prescott thing. I would say that Dak Prescott is just very inconsistent. He basically can go out and make a really good game against Tampa Bay, but their defense I knew all along was not great. You saw with Daniel Jones, for instance. Daniel Jones against the Minnesota Vikings. Sorry, Steven. Their defense, Daniel Jones was ripping them apart. And then you see the next week, I'm like, Daniel Jones, he's gonna have to play better defenses down ahead. I gotta see the eye test consistently, and you saw what happened. So I'm like, if Dak Prescott going against the Niners defense, I knew with Dak Prescott and his injury problems that the Niners were going to cause something. And I know, Isaiah, that you weren't too thrilled about the pass rush. Keep it that way. Keep that scheme where at least try to let others beat you. Dak Prescott outside of CeeDee Lamb, they didn't have any really other guys beat them. And yes, the Tony Pollard play, the injury was humongous because Zeke Elliott's not the same guy he used to be. He only averaged, I believe, 3 yards a carry or whatever like that. The tight ends, Dalton Schultz had a monster game last game. He didn't do really a whole lot. So you kind of take outside of CeeDee Lamb, and they don't really have a lot out there. I mean, yes, Michael Gallup should be the number 2 guy, but he didn't even get a target. I mean, he was rarely getting targeted, and I think it's because of the separation problem. So, death taxes and Dallas choking another playoff year and never gets old. I love it. They haven't been in a constant championship. It feels like forever, and I gotta love that. Mike McCarthy is such human language. He's an idiot, and it's because it's 19-12 Niners, and Dak Prescott is 4th and 10. I know it's at your own. I know it's at your own yard line, but you got to go for that because now you're gonna have to punt it away. And I know Elijah Mitchell didn't stay in bounds, which at the point I thought could have been a huge turning point if they happened to come back from that. But what in their mind was the last play of that last play call of the game? You had Zeke Elliott. I understand it was going to take an absolutely heroic miracle for them to tie that game, but that's Mike McCarthy in a nutshell for you to make that Zeke Elliott, and you look at him getting absolutely just pummeled from a defensive lineman as the ending comment. I mean, you couldn't script any better for Dallas's team to kind of go down like that. So, Isaiah, congratulations to your Niners. In terms of my picks all weekend, I know I talked with Laura last weekend. I only had one pick wrong, and that was the Buffalo Bills or the Bengals. I had the Niners winning against the Dallas Cowboys. I had the Kansas City Chiefs beating the Jaguars, and I had the Eagles beating the Giants. So I did pretty good overall with my picks. Isaiah, congratulations to your Niners. And I don't want to spoil my pick in terms of if I have you guys moving on to the Super Bowl, but great win for you guys. And Brock Purdy definitely should get deservedly so for the starting role next year.
Yeah, I think so too, Ben. But Steven, welcome. What's your takeaways on this Cowboys-Niners divisional round showdown?
Yeah, and talk about the Vikings.
Thank you, guys. So, my thoughts on this is let's just go around and give a couple of grades here. Obviously, Kittle gets an A. I think Kyle Shanahan gets an A to an A+ for disguising some of the deficiencies Purdy still has as a young quarterback in this league, but also capitalizing on his strengths and Debo and Kittle. So Shanahan, he's been Shanahan. He's the offensive mastermind he's been for a while. I thought he coached a phenomenal game, and he out-schemed McCarthy and Prescott in this game. And then I would actually, you know what? I would give Mike McCarthy an A- in this game. I thought the defense really came to play. The defense has been McCarthy's MO ever since that he has been coaching Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. And when you look back at McCarthy's resume, it's really not as bad as you think it is. I mean, he's got a Super Bowl win, and Shanahan doesn't. He's got a Super Bowl win just like Sean Payton and just like some of the best out there. So I really don't think that Mike McCarthy, was necessarily the issue in this game. I think there's some limitations there on offense. The Tony Pollard injury certainly didn't help, but I thought Zeke made some key plays in short yardage positions to actually keep things alive for the Cowboys. So I'm going to have to give McCarthy an A-. He did well on his MO in defense, and some of the stuff he schemed up, Dak just didn't show up in the big moment. But I know Niners, Cowboys, and Vikings fans, and anyone who doesn't like the Cowboys or even likes the Cowboys, no one around the league wants to hear this, but the Cowboys did take a step forward this season. They went 12-5, so they matched their win total, I believe, from last year, and they went ahead and won their first-round game rather than losing it like last year. Dak Prescott in that game threw for 4 touchdowns and no picks, and they absolutely dominated a washed-up Buccaneers team, but they came out there and they just hammered them down. We've seen in so many situations with Mike McCarthy coach teams and the Dallas Cowboys, despite the fact that, McCarthy does have a great resume, we've seen so many times that they have failed to put away teams that are lesser than them early and often, like the Commanders, like the Niners the year before, and they went ahead and destroyed the Buccaneers. They went and took care of business. The fact is they went one round further than they did before, and that might not be what people want to hear around the league, because the Cowboys, they have that blue blood, Michigan, Ohio State, 49ers type brand, but they moved forward. They did take a step forward, and here's the thing. When it comes to Dak Prescott, I'm going to have to give him a C- for this game, but hear me out here. Why is it that Dak Prescott is getting all the national media attention for blowing this game and for selling it, which he did, when his stats, Daniel Jones, Kirk Cousins, pretty much everyone besides Skylar freaking Thompson had way better stats than Josh Allen in the playoffs? I'm sorry. I know we're probably going to go over the Buffalo game later, or you guys already passed over it, but the Buffalo Bills came into that game on their home turf, on their element, snow game. So obviously the passing stats aren't going to be good, but still, for Josh Allen to throw up 0 TDs, 1 pick, 58% completion, back-to-back games, you don't even throw for 60% completion. You have 4 turnovers in the past 2 games, including a fumble for 6 points to the Dolphins, and I believe maybe even a pick 6. Why are we not talking more about that, about how Josh Allen and the Bills blew a golden opportunity to not only go to the AFC title game, but likely go to the Super Bowl with Mahomes hobbled, playing on a neutral field and in good conditions the next week? I mean, that was just atrocious. Look, the Cowboys, they lost the game to the Niners, but I'm going to say it here and I'm going to say it again. The Niners are the most complete team in the country. Purdy might not beat Brady yet. He might not beat Elway or Montana yet, but the Niners do a good job of covering up his weaknesses, which are slight, and emphasizing his strengths, which are many. He has a lot of intangible skills. He's a great, quick decision maker. He reminds me of like a very young Joe Burrow or Tom Brady in that sense. He's just very, very good and quick. He's not the most
decisive,
athletic, but he can get out of the pocket. He can get decisive and make big plays down the stretch. And the second thing is, I trust Vegas. The Niners, they were at home. They were Vegas favorites going in this game. They were expected to go ahead and take care of business. You've won 11 games straight. You really think that the Niners weren't going to beat out the accident waiting to happen, even though they are, in fact, the Bay Area Cowboys? They were going to handle business yesterday and this week. That was what was going to happen. I know the Cowboys lost. I know the fans are disappointed, but the facts are the Cowboys took a step forward and the Buffalo Bills didn't. We need to talk more about how Josh Allen stunk it up and was the second worst quarterback in the playoffs this year. Not Daniel Jones, not Kirk Cousins. Freaking Josh Allen was the second worst quarterback. And I know people are going to say, he's young, give him time. He's got a bright future ahead of him. But Ben, Isaiah, and Lauro, I think you and I have come to realize a lot of times when these quarterbacks get off to good starts in their career, if they don't capitalize it on it early and often, you'll be looking back on a career in which, wow, I only, made 1 Super Bowl and didn't win a ring. Or I only won 1 when I could have won 3 or 4. You look at Drew Brees. You look at Aaron Rodgers. You look at Phillip Rivers. These opportunities are few and far between. If you keep blowing them over and over again, you're going to be looking at a career of what-ifs. And that's what Josh Allen's career is. It's just a career of what-ifs. I see no difference between Josh Allen and Lamar, Josh Allen and Prescott. At least Prescott consistently wins his division. At least Lamar consistently wins his division and won an MVP. What has Josh Allen done that is more than what Prescott and Lamar have done in this league? He is the most overrated quarterback in this league. And my Super Bowl pick is going to be the Bengals-Niners, with the Bengals winning, because the Niners are the Bay Area Niners.
Anyways, we're going to get to our comments here. Anyways, let's take a look here. Sorry for the glitch here. So Christy says that I think I have to log in and out here. Sorry, guys. Isaiah or Ben, take over.
All right. So, yeah, we're dealing with some technical difficulties right now. We'll hope to get it sorted out. I don't know what's going on.
Until they're back.
Tama, this is like the weirdest thing. Hold on. Ben, you might have to take this time.
Alright.
We'll be back, guys. We'll be back. We'll go on commercial for a bit.
So I told my fellow try to figure these were solo at that as return and and about the playoffs or of these games we got through the Dallas 49ers. Obviously, was the other weekend with the Bengals, the New York Giants, the Jaguars, and the Kansas. The 49ers are title game where they the Philadelphia Eagles played the New York Giants. I'll explain overall thoughts and time and keep on going here. Us in this game, and the finals was 38 of the Philadelphia. My overall thoughts complete beat. This was a complete was it? You know, a lot of just don't know. But it was a domination game from the Villa. Lions have a very bright. They custom odds them to be. We expect them to playoffs. Did a lot of credit for playoffs through the first round. Really has program around 10, 6, 7 years. Utter failure, just coaching. It's been a lot that Giants team. Maybe you kind of saw new culture happen from Brian Dable coming, and those two guys this are being great for years to come. So you